Hey industry professionals, my name is Matt Richards with BZBGEAR, and today we're going to be doing another webinar. This time we're focusing on houses of worship and what they might need in order to bring their game essentially to the next level. So let's go ahead and dive into this. First, we're going to start with a little bit about me. My name is Matt Richards, like I just told you. I am the marketing and video production lead for BZBGEAR. I'm a graduate of Liberty University, and I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Media Production. My first job out of college happened to be at a TV station local to Sacramento, so that's a big passion of mine is broadcasting. But to kind of piggyback off of the whole house of worship thing, I was also a videographer, a professional videographer for a local church in Sacramento as well while I was there. So this is kind of a field that's a little bit near and dear to my heart as well. So let's go ahead and move on. First, we need to establish the objectives of today. Houses of worship are very, very large institutions when it comes to AV and broadcasting. They kind of marry a little bit of both. So we need to establish the fact that there are just different needs needed besides just, the Sunday service or whatever day the service happens to be. Sometimes some of that's just office work and kind of communicating between yourself, guests, and other things like that, or maybe even just with your own body. So the other thing that we need to talk about too is going to be the current equipment in space. That's more of a for you to figure out deal, but for example, it doesn't make sense for you to get a 30x zoom camera when the space that you're putting it in is maybe a 10 by 10 room. You're kind of overspending your budget there, and budget is a huge consideration for houses of worship. So let's move forward. We'll get into House of Worship Solutions by BZBGEAR. So first of all, we need to kind of look at the weekly itinerary. Like I stated, House of Worship are not as simple as just showing up on Sunday and then everything you see on Sunday is the only thing that happens. There's a lot of planning and meeting that happens. There's a lot of education for the members of the House of Worship to attend, like studies, workshops, getaways, retreats, all of those things. And finally, you also have the service component. So that's going to be the aspect that most people kind of interact with when it comes to a house of worship. So we're going to go ahead and start with the kind of day-to-day things that houses of worship really need to figure out. And that's going to be conferencing solutions. We have a few really good conferencing solutions here at BZBGEAR. We're going to go ahead and start with the BG Cyclops. This is a 120-degree wide-angle autofocus conference bar. So basically, this does everything you need it to do in a conference room. It has the camera, it has the speakers, and it also has the microphones. Not only that, but it is auto framing. So really cool, whoever's talking at the time, the camera will automatically zoom in and frame on that individual. So pretty awesome piece of equipment here. You have two 10-watt speakers and 6 embedded microphones, and it does 4K at 30 hertz. So you're gonna have plenty of resolution to be able to actually punch in, and you're not losing a whole lot when it's doing that. Moving on, we are going to have the BG Connexio. So this is our wireless bring your own device conferencing solution. So this is a really awesome piece of equipment. Essentially, you just set it up in your conference room or even in classrooms if you wanted to use it in that aspect. And it supports 4K USB-C and HDMI outputs, wireless connection, that's the big one. And it has dual network and high standard encryption. So that means basically you can set this thing up on its own network. It's not going to have access to the rest of your network. So this thing is entirely secured and it's PoE capable. You can input up to 1080p content through it wirelessly. It has HDMI 2.0 output. So this thing just kind of is the do-it-all. Basically, we want to be able to give you a device that makes it super simple and easy to set up, really easy for guests or just whoever is doing the weekly conference to just throw what they need to throw up on the screen. So that way you can kind of have a more efficient meeting and eliminate some of that extra time that it might take, plugging in cables, figuring out troubleshooting, all of that stuff. This is kind of a plug and play device and it's really awesome. So this is a great solution and it's only starting at $9.99. Like I said, a lot of this stuff we're going to be focusing more on kind of maximizing your budget. So we're not going to be going over everything that we have to offer simply because of that. But moving on, we have the BG SMB 5M. This is our USB or Bluetooth wireless speakerphone. So it has a rechargeable battery. That means it's super portable. You can take it from room to room. It has echo cancellation built in, 4 built-in microphones, which are going to offer you a 360-degree audio pickup with this device. So you don't have to be in front of the device. If you put it on the middle of a desk, for example, in your conference room, it'll pick up everybody else that's sitting at the desk when they want to speak. You can add up to 2 external microphones or even speakers with this device. It's pretty awesome. And on top of that, it works with most video conferencing and cloud communication apps, so it'll automatically kind of show up as an input device. This item starts at about $349 MSRP, and that brings us to an often overlooked section of houses of worship, but also very important. That's going to be AV solutions. So this is really where I'm kind of getting into the hand-picked items for a house of worship. We have plenty more video walls, matrices, all of that good stuff. We have plenty more of those to look through in our catalog, but I kind of figured these are going to be the best bets because these units are all-in-one units. They do everything that you want them to do. So starting off with the BG 4K VP44, this is our Swiss Army knife is what we're calling it. So the next 3 products, we are also including the Swiss Army knife product line, but this is a 4x4 UHD video wall processor and matrix switcher, as well as a multi-viewer. So it does all 3 of those functions, and you're getting it in one device. And that's why I'm kind of including this, because it simplifies your life in the house of worship industry. You can get a lot more items. You can get all of these individually from us. That's video wall processors, matrix switchers, and multi-viewers. But like I said, budget is a big constraint, and simplicity is also. So if you can get something that can do everything that you need it to do in one device, why not? So moving on to actually talking about this product. This supports 4K at 60 Hertz. It's HDMI outputs, so it has HDCP 2.2 compliance, which is pretty awesome. There's no switching delay or picture loss on transitions. On top of that, it kind of doubles as a audio mixer, not mixer, but an audio matrix as well. So it has analog audio extraction. You can kind of choose which audio outputs you want to use as well. It has advanced EDID management and seamless scaling as well. And you're able to control this unit through the front panel, the remote, RS-232, TCP, or IP commands. So just overall, a very, very well-rounded unit. And at an MSRP of $29.99, you're getting a lot of features out of this device, and it really makes your life a lot simpler. Moving on, we're going to go on to its bigger brother. That's the BG 4K VP44 Pro. You're looking at pretty much the exact same feature set, everything that you want out of the VP44. But now you're also getting signal extension over Cat cable. So it supports 4K at 60 Hertz, and you're getting up to 229 feet extensions with Cat 5. Super awesome. The units themselves, the extenders, you don't even need to run their own cables because this has power over cable as well. And pretty much everything else is the same. This is going to start at $49.99. Fantastic product. And moving on, we have the BG 4K VP88. This is our VP44, but bigger. And by bigger, I mean this is an 8x8. So it's an 8x8 4K video wall processor, matrix switcher, and multi-viewer all in one. Same thing that you want out of the 44. It's just going to support more devices, essentially. You're getting so much awesome stuff with this. And like I mentioned, since it does all of these things, you're getting video wall, matrix switcher, multi-viewer, and then the multi-viewer, pretty cool. You can do tons of extra settings through them. We have videos directly on these products too on our YouTube page if you want to check them out a little bit more in depth. But finally, we'll cap it off with the BG 4K VP99 Pro. So similar to the 44 Pro, this is taking the 88 and moving it to a Cat extension cable as well. So you're getting 229 feet with Cat 5 cable, but instead of it being an 8x8, now you're getting a 9x9. So this is a 9x9 video wall matrix switcher and a multi-viewer as well. The only differences between this and the 88 Pro, besides gaining an extra output essentially, is the fact that this one is only going to be 4K at 30 Hertz. So just know the difference between those two. If you want 4K at 60 Hertz, you're going to want to go with the 88 Pro. You're going to lose the extra input and output, but you're going to gain the extra frame rate. Moving on, we're going to have our BZBGEAR cameras. And again, we have plenty to offer here in terms of our cameras. We have Dante AVH, we have NDI capable, as well as just standard SDI, USB, and HDMI cameras. Starting it off, this is a little, we'll go back. This is a little bit of a different camera. This is the Nucleus 10X. This is kind of targeted at smaller houses of worship, places where maybe you don't already have a computer and camera set up to do streaming. This is just going to give you a Windows 10 PC with a 10X PTZ camera all in one. So it's an Intel i5 CPU, 16 gigabytes of RAM, and a 512 gigabyte M.2 SSD. You have USB inputs, Bluetooth, LAN port, 3.5 millimeter audio line for a microphone. And where this really shines, like I said, is if you don't already have some of the equipment that you need to basically run a live stream. I also would not put this in a larger house of worship. Depending on how big your center, like your worship center is, 10X might not be able to cut it. So just think about that a little bit. This starts at $29.99, but considering you're getting a PTZ camera and a computer through it, it's actually not a bad price. Moving on, we have the BZBGEAR SHA. This is kind of a box cam. It's available in 20x or 30x optical zoom. You can zoom on the rear of it or focus it. It's a super compact camera. It supports direct streaming through web interface. It has 3G SDI, HDMI, 3.5 millimeter audio jack, PoE, and it's also able to be controlled through RS-485 or 232. Where this camera might shine is if you want a stationary camera. I wouldn't really use this as a camera where you're trying to move it and get a bunch of different shots or zoom in. I would kind of use this as a set it and forget it camera if you want something that's going to be like a cutaway shot for a wide angle just over the entire congregation of the church, or maybe you want to throw it up in a drummer box, something like that for music. This is where this would really shine in that regard. This starts at $9.99, and moving on, we're actually going to get into our PTZ cameras. So the first PTZ camera we're going to talk about is the BZBGEAR HSU3. This comes in, it's a 1080p camera, supports 60 Hertz, it's available in 10, 20, or 30x zoom. You can get this in an NDI model as well. Super small form factor, all aluminum body, so that means it's super durable. Basically, where I would start with this camera is if this is something for a smaller house of worship or if you are really constrained on budget. Those are the two places that I would recommend using these cameras. They're good picture quality, but we have other cameras that are going to blow this out of the water. This starts at $11.99, and if you want to get it in NDI, I believe that's about $100 extra. Don't quote me on that though. I just check our website. We have everything that we're talking about here, including the NDI models. You can even get in contact with our reps, who I will be plugging at the end of this. But moving on, we have the BGUPTZ. This is kind of a step up in our 1080p game. It's 1080p at 60 Hertz, available in 12, 20, or 30x zoom. But we also offer a 10x digital zoom on top of that with this camera. So you have a little bit of extra room to punch in. It's available in NDI models. You get audio embedding, main and sub streams, PoE capable. All of the outputs on this camera you can run simultaneously, which is awesome. And you get 3.5 millimeter audio inputs. You have IP, IR, and cascadable RS-232, 45, Visca Pelco in order to control this camera. And it also has 255 preset positions on the remote itself. This starts at $14.99. However, we kind of are working on replacing this camera in our lineup with the next camera on the list, and that is our BG Adamo Jr. So if you notice, the BG Adamo Jr. starts at about the same price point. That's because, like we said, we're kind of moving this into the place that the UPTZ had. This is our flagship 1080p model. It is 1080p at 60 Hertz, available in 12, 20, or 30x optical zoom. Available in NDI and Dante AVH. I know Dante AVH is going to be big for houses of worship because a lot of houses of worship are using Dante for their audio. You're also going to have tally lights with this camera, so whoever's on stage, they know which camera is active, which can be very helpful if you're running a live stream out to the congregation. On top of that, you can also record directly to this camera. It has a micro SD card slot. which you can use up to, I believe it's about 1 terabyte is the largest micro SD cards that I've seen out there. You have SDI, HDMI, USB 2.0 and 3.0, as well as IP streaming if you're running the NDI or Dante models. It's PoE capable, so if you're running NDI or Dante, only need one cable. Awesome feature of that. And you have multiple forms of control, including our app, web control, RS-232, 422, or even the IO remote if you choose to use it. Again, these start at $14.99, so pretty much the exact same price as our UPTZ. So if you're in the market for a 1080p camera and that's in your budget, highly recommend you start looking at the Adamo Junior. Stepping it up though, we're going to have the BG Adamo 4K. This is 4K at 60 Hz. Currently we're offering it in 12 or 25x optical zooms. It is everything that we just said with the Adamo Junior. All of those features are there, except it's not 3G SDI, it's 12G SDI. On top of that, one thing that I didn't mention between the two of these cameras is the fact that both of these cameras offer auto tracking. So that's an awesome feature to get into. This starts at $26.99. Moving on, we have joystick controllers as well. So first one that I'm going to talk about is the Commander Junior. This is awesome if you are looking at a small worship space. It has LED display to allow you to review settings, Visca, UDP, Pelco, D, and P protocol. Everything that you want as far as control on this, you're going to get. Plenty of preset support. You have 5 cameras that you can control through this, and everything is just a nice small form factor. Moving on, we have the BG Commander Pro. This is our most capable joystick controller yet. Everything about the BG Commander that everybody liked, we kind of beefed up. So it has its 7-inch touchscreen, IP Visca OnVIF, RS-44, 22, 485, 232. Everything that you want on this joystick, anything that you could ask it to do, this is going to be the one that is going to be able to do it. Variable speed adjustment, HDMI projection, supports up to 3x3 video walls. You can add, and this is the crazy part, up to 2,048 devices to it. This is going to start at $19.99. And finally, we'll wrap it up with the Commander. This is kind of our general flagship, not really flagship, but our general purpose joystick controller. The Pro is going to be our flagship, but this one is going to get you to what you need for most use cases. Super robust, all metal construction, reinforced joystick for serious use, PoE capable with IP control, variable speed adjustment, 7 select camera buttons, just an awesome joystick controller, and it starts at only $8.99. Finally, we're going to have capture devices. We have tons of these. The Cap HA, which is a USB 3.0 1080p capture device. You have support for up to 4K devices. It'll capture at 1080p at 60 Hz with HDMI loop out and stereo. This is only 99 bucks. Super great item, super small. Then we have the BG-CHA. This is a USB 3.1 1080p capture device with scaler. TAA compliant, so that's pretty awesome. Captures an HDMI support source at 1080p at 60 Hz. And you're getting it at $249. Then we're going to move on to the BG-C2HA. This is another USB 3.0 capture device. It's TAA compliant. Supports any resolutions up to 4K at 60 Hz. And it will allow you to loop out the source in an HDMI cable as well. So pretty awesome there. Moving on, we have the BG-CSA. This is our USB 3.1 SDI 1080p capture device. It's also TAA compliant and supports any resolutions up to 1080p at 60 Hz. You'll be able to capture any SDI source and contain, it'll have an SDI loop out as well on it. So that's an MSRP of $249. Then finally, we have the BG-4K-CH. This is our 4K HDMI video capture card with scaler. It's a USB-C output, super small, it's awesome. It'll capture up to 4K at 30 Hz, and you'll be able to scale any lower resolution content up to 1080p at 60 Hz. TAA compliant, and it starts at $299. So finally, that brings us to converters. We have plenty of converters here in our lineup at BZBGEAR. Anything from SDI to HDMI to HDMI to USB. Just plenty of options to choose from. These are just a few pictures of some of the ones that we have. Just in the interest of time, we're not going to go over all of them. You'd be better served just going to our website and looking through the converters that we have on offer. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about software solutions. I know a lot of houses of worship are going to be using their own software solutions, but just real quick, the two that we're going to really recommend are going to be vMix, which, by the way, we can throw in a free license with a qualifying purchase of one of our cameras, or OBS. The advantage of going with OBS over vMix is that it's very, very customizable because it's open source. Downside is it's not as easy to use unless you already have some pre-existing knowledge of it, but there's plenty of knowledge out there. Finally, we'll take a quick look at what a live stream setup looks like. If you want more in-depth information on this, again, go ahead and check out our live streaming webinar. But this is just one general idea of a few of our PTZ cameras going through a PoE network switch, which, by the way, we actually have on our website. We stock mostly Netgear stuff because Netgear does pretty much some of the best job in the industry. But all of those are going through the network switch. They're hooked up to one of our joystick controllers, and then that's hooked up to a laptop computer running the stream. Here are two other examples. Like I said, it's not too difficult to set it up, but your technical director probably knows a lot more about this, and they can get you squared away. Moving on, what about audio? A few options you can consider here. First and easiest one is just going to be using the audio tool of your choice and the broadcasting software specifically. Based on which of these broadcasting software you're using, it's likely going to have some audio software that can help you balance the audio through that. Next, and probably the best, is going to be running it through a physical audio mixer and then bringing that back into the software. That's what I would recommend, but it's really up to you on how you want to do it. But that's going to cover it today for everything that we're talking about today as far as houses of worship are concerned. My name was Matt Richards, so if you have any questions and you would like to connect with me, go ahead and do so. My information's there on the screen at the moment. But moving on, I do want to plug our wonderful sales and support team. So Chris, he's the Director of Sales and Eastern U.S. International Business Developer. Then you have Ilbron, who is our VP of Global Sales. And finally, you have Matthew, who is our Western U.S. and International Business Development guy. Matthew, I know, works a lot with houses of worship. In fact, he and I have gone to a few trade shows that are designed specifically around houses of worship. So he's a fantastic resource to reach out to. Their information is also on the screen there if you want to get in touch with them. And finally, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to contact us. You can contact info@bzbgear.com or support@bzbgear.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an awesome platform. Our guy, Trayvon, will be happy to help you out on there and get you squared away with the right, basically through the right channels on who to talk to. On top of that, want to shout out our support team. Support team is fantastic. They're an awesome US-based support team, and on top of that, they're available on the weekends for you houses of worship. But caveat with that, if you want to talk to them over the weekends and have an appointment, you need to schedule it with them. They're only available on the weekends by appointment. It's not a standing, they're always available on the weekends. It's call them during the week and schedule that ahead of time, and they will try and get something worked out for you. So that's going to do it for our House of Worship solutions. Again, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will see you guys in the next webinar. Thank you guys. Bye.